Okay, good morning. Today I am going to make a Colorado campfire chicken stew mix, but I'm actually going to make it more like chicken and dumplings. It's like single digits outside today, and I did not have a container of chicken broth. So, since the meat I'm going to use is my wild game turkey that I shot back in the fall. So that's a turkey breast from a wild turkey. And it's going to boil. Make the broth first, and then I'll chunk up the meat and turn it into a stew. Okay, it's been an hour and my wild turkey is boiling to make the broth. I'm going to leave it on for about an hour. I'm going to stir it here. But it's nice and bubbly. Sauteing in olive oil some chopped celery and some red onion. As you can tell, I utilize my wood stove in the winter. If it's going, I'm usually cooking on it. It's free heat or free electric. It's a free cooking service. Come on, Bobo. Bobo, in your coat? Don't trip me. All my old kitchen gadgets. I'm going to strain the broth. And now I have strained turkey broth back on the stove. And because I want this thicker to be more of a chicken and dumplings, or in this case turkey and dumplings, I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to thicken, and that way it's better for the dumplings. It won't be so watery, so I'll do that. You can use flour too. I tend to use cornstarch. It's gluten-free. There's about 4½ cups of cut up wild turkey. Okay, my butter is melted. I'm going to thicken it with about 2 tablespoons. It's now a paste that'll thicken the broth. When the broth is back to bubbling, it's not quite there yet. I'm actually going to put the lid on that for about couple minutes, probably 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm going to put in the butter and cornstarch, thicken. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes and it's getting close to noon. I want to get this going for dinner tonight, so I'm going to go ahead. The broth is bubbling and it's thickening because of the cornstarch I put in it. Now I'm going to add the meat. My turkey stewed / dumpling mix, bubbling. Been on, it's after 3, so I'm going to go ahead and make the dumplings now. Hello again. Okay. So now I'm going to mix up the dumplings so that we are going to be having turkey and dumplings tonight, since it's wild turkey that John or I shot in the fall. I think this one's actually his that he got. But anyways, I make a real simple recipe. I've tried different ones, but a few years ago I was on All Recipes, and I usually go to that one a lot when I'm looking for stuff I need a recipe for. And I printed out a recipe called Mom's Simple Dumplings. So it's just got 5 ingredients. All-purpose flour, baking powder, salt, and I always use my bourbon salt, butter, and I do use salted butter, so I'll use less salt. Besides, this is really strong anyways, and we don't like real salty food. So, and then it takes milk. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and this is a 1/3 cup fill, so I will guesstimate. It's probably about, and here's a real easy way to check it, because this has a measuring thing on it. You can get it level. Yeah, we're good. So 1.5 cups all-purpose flour. Then we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, not soda, baking powder. So there's 1, 2. And it calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, which is a lot. And I use pinches, so this bourbon Himalayan salt is strong, but I use it more for the smoky flavor, so we're going to call that good. And also, it doesn't call for it, but I need my chives. I'm going to put some chives in it. It's just prettier. It doesn't call for it, but, and because I love pepper so much, I did finally get my bourbon smoked pepper from Amazon. I won't go heavy on it, but a little bit of pepper. So it doesn't call for that, or the chives. I am going to put a little dash of a wood-fired garlic again. Okay, so those are the dry ingredients. And you want to take, I usually do it with my pastry dough. I'm just going to mix it all up because I'm going to be using this to put the butter in it. So you just want to make sure that it's all mixed up good. And you're going to take 3 tablespoons of shortening or butter. I always use butter. I've never made it with shortening. I don't really cook with shortening. And again, it's the salted butter. So that's kind of why I went a little light on the extra salt that I added. So, okay, and then we're going to cut this in with the pastry cutter. You want this crumbly, and you want to make sure you do it in these steps. Don't mix the milk in first. You're going to mix the butter in with your pastry cutter. Mine is a really cool old one. Of course, it's red. Okay, I've got it to the fine crumb stage, a dry crumb, they call it. And you can tell because it comes off dry, there's no pieces of butter, big globs of butter in it. So we'll call that good. Okay, and then the last thing we do is 3/4 cups of milk. And we're going going to stir that in with a spoon. I have cut it in before, but no need to. If you cut in the flour and the butter into the flour and dry ingredients, good. You don't need to. Anyways, I usually get to a point where I do use my hands. Like any dough, anytime I make bread or anything doughy. Okay, so there's the dough, and you can see the green specks from the chives. You can even see some black from the pepper, because that bourbon pepper is coarse. So, okay, I'll let that sit there a minute, wash my hands. Okay, I moved you over here, because what we're going to do next is we're going to drop the dough into the hot, simmering liquid. What I'm going to do, since I don't have a table over here to use, I'm just going to use my fingers. I normally do this with a spoon. I like a teaspoon, and I like small dumplings. And we are going to drop them in. Okay, it's been 10 minutes uncovered. Now I'm going to cover them for 10 minutes. Bon appetit, and 5,